Hey everybody, welcome to RCTW Observer. This is Jason, and I'm here to play, observe, review, and inform you on all things related to RollerCoaster Tycoon World. Welcome back. So this last weekend, the Halloween weekend, we actually had the first beta for RollerCoaster Tycoon World. I didn't get a chance to play as often as I really would like to have done, but it's because I do a lot of stuff around my house for Halloween and the trick-or-treaters, and it keeps me pretty busy. So I'm only going to show you a quick clip of what I did do on Monday. It was right before the beta ended, and the recording environment that I was in was not ideal, so I'm going to be kind of narrating over the video that I recorded. I didn't record my voice as I was playing. There was a lot of noise going on in the background, and so we're just going to do a little bit differently this time. So with that, we're going to jump right into the game and get started. So when you get into the game, the first thing you're going to see is this park entrance, and for the Halloween weekend beta, it looks like they added some cute little pumpkin decorations and haystacks and little kind of scarecrow guys on top of the entrance building, which is kind of cool. Down the bottom of the screen, you're going to see all the different controls available. The user interface is actually really intuitive, very smart, and simple to use. Not everything is available yet on the beta, but you can see that they have like similar to controls to what was used in RCT3, game speed, play, pause, weather, things like that. The weather didn't work, but I don't know why, but I always like to play my game while it's paused. I know that sounds kind of weird, but I think the game always used to run better for me when it was paused, maybe because my graphics card isn't as good as what I had thought it would be. So with that, I'm going to let you guys know that by the November beta, I'm hoping to improve my graphics card and sort of give you guys some better quality video. This one's not too bad, but you're going to see some lag and some hiccups in it that are going to be related to how fast my computer can actually handle this game. So my apologies for that ahead of time, guys, but we'll make sure to get it fixed before the next beta comes out. So really quick, I just showed you some quick camera controls. The camera's controlled by the keyboard. The WASD keys are your up, down, left, and right. If you hit the Q and the E, respectively, they rotate your camera left and right, and the mouse wheel will scroll your zoom in and out. Now here I'm just going to show your path creation. I pressed the G button to kind of get that grid display up, and what you can do by using that is actually get more control over your paths and make them like really a lot more square than if you were to use the freeform object placer method of it. This way you can get like really square paths, and if you're really picky or you want to make your park look really symmetrical with your path locations, I guess, then you can actually use that grid. I'm not a big fan. I just wanted to show you guys how it works, and here's more of the freeform way of placing paths, and you can see that they have like a bunch of different path types available at this point, which is really great. I like the fact that they actually have a lot of options as far as the textures are concerned. I'm hoping that there's going to be some people out there that'll, you know, figure out how to actually create new textures for paths and maybe add them to the list. Who knows? It seems like they have a lot already. I'm not sure what could be added, but hey, that's why I'm not a custom scenery creator. So I do want to give my hand in it in a little while, and you know, maybe eventually create something, but something simple like a sign or something like that. I've always wanted to try it, but we'll wait until after the game is fully released before we try that. So also showed you the curve path option there. You can see that it looks pretty cool the way it goes in there, but I've noticed some glitches, which we'll go back to in a little bit here. It doesn't quite finish off the paths very well in some spots. It creates gaps, and I'll show you that in a little bit. But here I'm just going to show the object placer tool. Now they do call it a free-form object placer, which just basically means that you can place objects anywhere. Well, that's not 100% true. You can see, like in certain areas, the object does turn red, and basically that just means that, well, sorry, can't put that object there. Well, if it's a free-form object placer, why can't I place an object anywhere I want to? I'm going to select another object here just to kind of give you an idea. The single post wasn't that good, so I got the little double light there. But just to show you that you can rotate these objects any way you want to. Now, I did have a question in one of my previous posts is, can you scale the objects? And the answer to that question now is no, you can't scale it. It only comes in one size. What they give you is what you have, and that's really it. If you want something bigger, you're probably going to have to create it in a custom scenery build yourself. So here I'm just placing some lights around the paths. You can place them on the inside of the path or the outside of the path. Same thing with benches. Those ones snap to the edge of the paths, as you can see here. And I'm trying to, place them in certain spots, but you have to rotate them, obviously, to make them fit to the side of the path where you want it to go. And you see, I don't know, it doesn't make much sense. I was trying to place it on the edge of that path, but for some reason when I got close to the curved area of that path, it didn't like where I was putting it. I'm not sure why. To get rid of odd objects in your park, just click that little bulldozer tool. Very similar to prior games. You just click the bulldozer tool and you select the object you want to get rid of, click it, and it goes bye-bye. They do have a selection of fences available. Using the grid tool didn't seem to work well for me. I was hoping to snap it to the next one, but it doesn't quite snap it to the edge of your previously placed object. So I went back to freeform and just kind of created my own sort of little segment of fence here and tried to curve it around to see if I could actually get it to make it go in any direction. Because that was one of the things that was frustrating in RollerCoaster Tycoon 3, is that you could actually place fences, but you were only limited to 90-degree increments. And that was frustrating because you wanted to make curved paths, and there was really seemingly no way to be able to do that before. Here you can do it. But again, with the freeform object placer, there's certain times where you can't overlap it or intersect it, and you're limited to what they say you're able to place it. And I think that's kind of, I don't know, I think it's kind of sucks, because we want to be able to put stuff wherever we want to. There shouldn't be any limitations to it. They also have some decor available. Here you can see an example where I was trying to place this little owl statue, but it was wrapping to the path. The only way that I could actually get it to unwrap from the path, or not snap to the path, that is, was by holding down the shift key. Now, if you hold down the shift key and use the mouse wheel, you can rotate your objects, as you're seeing here for these rocks. But it also seemed to be a way of actually placing my objects in places that it previously wouldn't let me place them before. Now, I don't know if that's a glitch or if they designed it that way, but it's something that I discovered and I thought was kind of helpful. But I really do hope it's something that they fixed once either the next beta, or at least by the time the full game is released. Now here I'm just kind of showing you how to add, some shrubberies to your park and make it look a little bit nicer. They also have a pretty good variety of plants and foliage available. They have bushes, they have exotic flowers and plants and trees. Here I'm just kind of placing things around, and I think these are not snapping. I think here is where I'm holding down the shift key, so you can see how you can place things in sort of like a free form way. Again, I'm not sure if they actually designed it that way, but if you don't hold down the shift key, it'll actually snap to the edge of your path, like how this little plant is doing. But holding down that shift key, you can actually place it wherever you want to, at least within limitations, as long as it doesn't turn red. So that's just the general idea of object placement. It's fairly simple and it works really well, and it seems like you can put a bunch of stuff in here. I didn't show a whole lot of things on this one because I was kind of limited on time, but the scenery or the environment doesn't seem to be limited on how many objects you can place in there. And I know that the beta doesn't really have any sort of monetary value to your objects. It's like you get unlimited money, so you can place as many objects in the park as you want. But I'm sure that when you're probably playing scenarios that you have a certain amount of money you can play with, and you might be limited to how many objects you can place in your park based on how much money you have, until you gain more revenue from your peeps, riding rides, entering your park, doing whatever, before you can actually afford to put more things in your park. I tried to use the fountain. The fountain's pretty cool. It's pretty decent animation, but it creates that little path around there. I couldn't quite figure out how to use it at the time, and you can see that little gap in the path around there. And over here, and I said I was going to touch up on this a little bit later, you can see another gap there in the curved paths. Now, definitely a glitch, definitely a bug. There's quite a lot of them in this beta. Not horrible, but definitely something noteworthy that they should try to fix for the next go-around. So next thing we're going to do is jump into this little move tool down here. If you've already placed your objects, you don't want to delete it and then find the object and then re-add it. You can actually just move them now, which I think is a pretty cool addition. That way you don't have to, delete and then refine the object you want and then replace it. You can just click it, move it, click it, move it, click it, move it. You get the idea, right? So it gives you a bit more creativity and saves a bit more time if you figured that something that you placed earlier is going to look better in a different spot. So moving along to the terrain tool, down at the bottom you can see that they've got all the different available options for raising, lowering, flattening, and smoothing. Over there on the bottom right you can hold down the shift key and use your mouse wheel, or just click and use a little slider to change your brush strength. I don't know why I have a hard time saying that. If you lower it, it's going to raise and lower your terrain slower. If you raise the brush strength, it'll do it a lot quicker if you're just in a hurry. Sorry, that's my dog. So here you can just see an example of lowering the terrain, and I think what I'm planning on doing is creating a little bit of a lake there. But another one of the things that I thought was kind of glitchy is that little that third option there where it says you can kind of create sort of like a rocky terrain. That's as high as it would go. I couldn't get the terrain to go any higher than that when I was clicking and holding it, even when I increased the brush strength. So I think that's definitely something that they can work on and fix for the next one, because I did see them demo that during the live stream, but for some reason during this beta it just did not seem to want to work. So I just kind of skipped over it, and I think ended up flattening this whole area to kind of show how that worked. Now the flattening tool doesn't work that great either. I think all I did was smooth it out here and made sort of like a really flat hill, but you get the idea of how the tools work. You also have a small variety of paint options down here. I'm sure that this is going to increase once the next beta is released, or maybe even during the final game. Only about 3 options for grass, and they have a sand option here too, and I'm just trying to create a sort of a sandy bottom for this little lake that I'm going to create here. And the water tool, that's something that I was really impressed with. You just click the little water bucket, click the plus on the water droplet there, and then just click and hold the water. It's like you're literally dropping a gigantic bucket of water into whatever crater, crevice, whatever you've created with your terrain deforming tools, and it flows naturally. It's very smooth, it's very intuitive, and you can click the minus button if you think you added too much water and just get rid of a little bit or get rid of it all. Now I did actually have some problems playing it earlier, where for some reason there was a certain spot of water I just could not get rid of, and I think it's because I raised and lowered the terrain with water in it, and it seemed like it confused the system a little bit, and I'm not sure why, but it seemed like no matter how many times I came back to that spot when I thought the water was gone, it always came back. And again, I can't explain it, but probably another glitch that could be fixed for the next go around. But water tool, fantastic. And another problem that I had was, even though I created water in one hole, I thought that for some reason it was weird that on another side of the park where I created another ditch, it added water already automatically. I for some reason it thought that I guess there was already water at that level, and when I dug my hole, the water just appeared. And I tried to recreate it here, but for some reason it didn't recreate the way that I wanted to, and I figured, okay, well, let's go ahead and try to create a waterfall. I know they didn't. I'm pretty sure Matt said that the waterfalls wouldn't be available for the beta. I think he even said originally that water wouldn't be available for the beta, but they must have decided to add it in at last minute, and I'm kind of glad they did, because I'm really happy with the way it works. And you can see here I tried to create a waterfall, but all it did was spill out into my little pond and out into the park. It does dissipate, and it just leaves you with whatever water is available there after you're done in whatever crevices you have. So that's the water tool. But enough of the terrain and the objects in the past. Let's get on to coaster building. Now here you can see a lot of options that they gave us for the beta, and I think there's like 1, 2, 3, like about 9 coasters available. And I think for this one I chose the hyper coaster, and here I'm just showing the different coaster stations that are available on the beta. They got a regular one, sort of a safari themed one, and a sci-fi themed one. I think I missed one. It was I don't know, there was a regular one, like two regular ones, I guess, a safari and a sci-fi. I chose the sci-fi, plopped it right down there, and one of the things I found frustrating at the beginning was that the height of the coaster track that the station starts off with is lower than what it'll let you start your first segment with. Now you'll see here, once I finally get it lowered, it's at an incline, and I tried to get it to go lower to make it level with the starting segment, but it wouldn't let me do that. Now, I think we should be able to adjust the height of the station like we used to in previous games. You could actually hold the shift key down and raise or lower your starting position of your station and make it whatever height you want to, but this one doesn't let you do that. I wanted to make sort of like a straight segment of track here for my lift hill or my booster. Use the grid on that, but because I started it at an angle, it didn't really know what I was doing, so I got rid of that really quickly. But this is the segment that I'm going to create for my booster section of the coaster, and I'm not going to create anything crazy. I was kind of limited on time and just wanted to create sort of a simple design, and this is the section that I wanted to create for my booster. Now, I forgot to select the track type when I created that little incline, so I just selected that section and showing you all the little nodes that it creates here. The ones in yellow are sort of inactive nodes. You can click any one of those to actually change the track and create a new active node. Not really sure if that's what it's called, but that's what I'm calling it for this purpose. And here I just changed the section of the track from a regular track to a booster. You can see they also have chain lifts and brakes and block brake sections. I'll be using brakes later on, but block brakes are just basically used if you want to use more than one train per coaster. For those of you who've played previous RollerCoaster Tycoon games, you know that you can actually do that, but it wasn't very smart. Didn't really quite know what you wanted to do, and was very difficult to figure out how to place it. Your trains would stop at lift hills and things like that instead of actually at the actual block brake section. I tried it. I couldn't figure it out until it was too late, and I looked on one of the forum pages, and they gave instructions on how to do it. So I'm hoping to be able to demo that the next time that they have the next beta out. So just here, kind of showing you just general track layout. On the bottom right side, you can see there's different options to rotate your path. You can, or the path of your train, that is, the path of your track. One of the things I thought was frustrating is that you see the little curved arrow that appears at the end of your track when you're trying to rotate it, either to twist it or to pitch it up and down. Didn't always point in the direction that is actually supposed to turn, and that was kind of frustrating. It took a bit of a learning curve to figure out which way it was going, but I think that's hopefully something they can fix for the next one. Another thing that I'm hoping they fix is that for some reason, every time that I tried to place a new segment of track where my supports were, it kept giving me this invalid location. Now, previous games, didn't matter where your supports were, you could place your track anywhere you want to, and the supports moved around your track. Does not seem to be the case here, and I'm a little disappointed about that. I know that this is just the beta. I know that there's a lot of things to work out. I'm not sure if that was intentional or if it's something they were hoping people would sort of comment on to find out if they like it or not, but I'm telling you right now, Atari and Invisio, I do not like it. I want to be able to put my track anywhere I want to, as crazy as I want to, and adjust it later based on the results of the test. I don't want to have to go around my support structure to know where to place my track next. Please fix this. My request from me to you, please fix this for the next beta, or at least by the time that the game is released. Remember, guys, the game will be released on December 10th. They got a lot of work to do, but pre-order the game, get the next beta in, and do what I'm doing. Just play, test, figure out what works, what doesn't work, and post comments in the forums, post a video on YouTube. Have fun with this. Do what I'm doing. Just enjoy what they do have to offer so far. I know it's early and there's still lots of work to be done, but so far I'm actually kind of impressed with what they have, as glitchy and buggy as it is in the beta. So here I've completed the rest of my coaster, and I'm now going to go into the train section of this particular ride. And here you can see you can actually add quite a few number of cars to your train. I think this is a total of 9 cars per train, and you can just get rid of the number of cars you want just by highlighting them and hitting the delete button. That'll get rid of them, and just add more by clicking the little shadowy ones there. Now, they don't have the ability to actually paint the cars the way that you want them to. They only have sort of a pre-designed theme for these so far. I'm hoping that's something that's going to be changed later on, but for now, I think all I'm doing is selecting all 9 cars and changing it to their sci-fi theme, which I thought was kind of cool. The front of the train looks really neat there. One thing that you can customize colors on so far, though, is the track and the supports. You see 1, 2, and 3 there in the bottom right. You can actually change the rails. I chose some kind of like orangey yellow color there, and the track itself, or the beam, I should say, that's the middle beam of the rail, and then the supports themselves you can change the color of too. I think I actually like the black on yellow. I'm not sure why I changed that to blue, but hey, that's what I chose, and it looks alright, I guess. I don't know if it's the most attractive thing in the world, but I don't know. It works for this purpose, right? So the next step, once you've completed everything, you think you got a good coaster, test it. Find out how it works, and you can see we got our little booster section here, and I was kind of worried about that curve there. I thought there might have been too much force going around without a bank there, but it seemed to work okay. And we come down in here to our little helix, and yeah, it's pretty smooth. And back around here into our final little turn. I know it looks a little choppy, guys, but again, that's probably my graphics card, hoping to have it a lot smoother by the time the next beta comes out. And it looks like I created too many breaks here, or at least the intensity of my breaks was too much, so I'm going to try to reduce this a little bit. Dropped it down to 2.35. I'm not sure why they did the increments, or how they did the increments. It's kind of weird. 2.35. Seems like they would do it maybe like in increments of half a point. I don't know, like 2.5, 3.5, that kind of thing. But I don't know. Who knows how they did it? And I know right now it's all metric system, which I'm not quite used to, being American and all. But I like feet and inches versus meters and centimeters. But they did say that that's going to be an actual change for the next beta. We will be able to actually use feet and inches next time. So let's see, we're coming into our last brake section, and it doesn't quite reach the station, so we're gonna have to figure something else out here. I don't want to change the intensity of the brakes, so what I did is I highlighted one of these little nodes there to create a new section, or an active node like I was talking about earlier, and just changed that new section from a brake section to a standard track. Now that way I have less brakes to slow down my train, and hopefully get a good result on my coaster. In order for you to get the results of your train, it'd be a good idea to get it all the way into the station, so hopefully this one will actually let us do it. Now you can see that I sped it up because I get kind of impatient when it comes to testing these things, and I've seen it already, so this time it made it in. So yay! Alright, first train made it to the station. Now there's our test results for excitement, intensity, nausea, and safety. Not very intense, but somewhat exciting and not very nauseous, so a successful coaster. Now, before I can open it to the little ghost peeps there, another surprise that Atari and Vizio gave us was ghost peeps for the Halloween beta. We have to create our entrance and exit cues. They only have 2 options available, sci-fi and I think steel. And you can see here that you can't really create a curved path like you can for the other regular paths that peeps walk on, but you can create short sections of your entrance queue to kind of make a curved path. And that's kind of what I did here, just to kind of give you an idea of how you can create sort of like a snaked path from your I guess ticket booth all the way to your main path. And then of course you have to create an exit, and I think what I was doing here is just doing more curved path. I'm not sure why, but I just really love the curved paths, even though they don't connect and they're a little glitchy, and you can even see it kind of runs into the terrain there. It's not very smart yet, but it's still cool. It's something that I always wanted for RCT3, and I'm glad we have it now. So now I can go ahead and open up my ride, and eventually the peeps are going to walk around, and I'm going to speed up time a little bit here to hopefully get them to go inside. Come on, guys. There's the entrance. Yay! All right, there's the entrance. Now, another thing that I thought was kind of frustrating is that it doesn't actually show you a sign that displays the name of your coaster. Now, I didn't name this particular coaster, but even before, it would just say RollerCoaster 1 or RollerCoaster 2 or Steel Coaster 1, Wooden Coaster 1, etc. It doesn't do that for this one, unfortunately. So maybe something that can be changed for the next one. Who knows? Another thing to add to the wish list, maybe. And my ultimate goal here is not only just to get the peeps to ride, but I also wanted to ride this thing in first-person perspective. You can see down here below, once you click that camera view in your coaster options, you can actually jump into the seats and change your seats with these little directional buttons down below, or you can leave the train and go back into to free view here. I'm fast forwarding so I can get these guys on the train and hopefully get back on the coaster and ride this thing. I was kind of excited to see how it would all look in first person perspective. And you can actually also look around while you're in the seat. Just hold down the control button and use your mouse to kind of look up and around. And there's the control booth. There's even a ghost peep in the control booth. I thought that was kind of cool. They're the ones that are kind of running the ride, and they're going to be the ones that launch you into the ride itself. Not quite full yet. Have patience, guys. They'll get there. They're a little slow. They're not that intuitive yet, but they'll eventually find their way. All right, almost there. Looks like it's almost full. I love how they're actually going through the queue line and into the little sections of the gates there. That's pretty neat. Oh, there it goes. Okay, time to hop on board and ride our first ride. There's our booster section right there. Trying to look around. You can even actually use the mouse wheel to zoom in and out of this seat perspective here. I turned it a little bit too hard there. Looked at the front of my coaster. There, I think I'm zooming out. And into our little turn. Wow, that's really that's close right through the supports there. And into our brake section and into the station. Now there's our little ghost peep. She's even hitting the button. Here comes the train. A successful first ride. Alright guys, well that's really about all I got to show you for this particular segment. I hope you enjoyed what you saw so far. Wish I could have shown you more, but conditions being what they were for the Halloween weekend, that's about the best that I could do. If you've liked what you've seen so far, give my channel or this video a little like, and feel free to share with your friends and family for those who are interested in playing this game. I'd really love to have more followers, and for those that have actually subscribed so far, thanks so much for your support. I'm having a great time with this channel. I'm really looking forward to the next beta, and hopefully, you know, getting a better graphics card to be able to show you guys just a lot faster and smoother video processing than what I've been able to show you here. It's not too bad, but I wanna be able to you know, give this channel its full potential. So stay tuned, guys, and we'll see you in the next video. In the meantime, make sure to keep it loopy.